Welcome to Pull a Pin Already, a place where average veterans come to share their opinions about the world we live in. We can't guarantee you're going to like our opinions, but we promise we're going to give them to you. And welcome to all you. And today, I've got a new veteran with us, and it's what we used to call the boot camp episodes, but we're not labeling anything because that stuff gets all confusing. So, as usual, I am Jim, and I'm here with Tanner. Welcome, Tanner.
Thanks, Jim. Nice to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you got involved, man. This is what we want. This is actually for veterans. It's all about veterans. And just like I said in the intro, we normally give you the opportunity to give us a whole episode about you and what you like, to share. Take it for granted. You share what you want to share because the people listening, whether they care or not, they're going to hear it. So you do what you want to do. But tell us what service you're in and what you did in the service and how long, whatever you're interested in sharing.
So, I was in the Marine Corps for about 3 years, got out early medically. While I was in, I was trained under CBRN, which is Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Defense Specialist. Then I did a lateral move over to the communications field and became an 0621, which is a transmission systems operator. And I was with 2nd Battalion, 11th Marines out in Camp Pendleton. And while I was out there, I got the ability to do a secondary MOS of 0933, which is combat marksmanship coach. So I became a firearms instructor for all of the units within my area of Camp Pendleton.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was nice to have the ability to be trained in so many jobs and just have such a versatile skill set.
Yeah, and in 3 years, that's pretty good. You have people take a lot of time in their careers to get a lot of that stuff accomplished, but in 3 years, it sounds like you did a lot.
Oh, absolutely. I pushed the envelope. I went hard in the paint.
So I don't know the Marine Corps, and I hope this crayon's not tempting you. I'm sorry if it is, but I don't know the Marine Corps per se. Like, so were you at one duty station the whole time, or?
So it starts obviously like all other branches with your boot camp / basic training. I went down to Parris Island, South Carolina, and did my boot camp, and then from there went to Camp Geiger, North Carolina, for fucking MCT, Marine Combat Training. And then from there, I went out to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, which
Oof.
is an army base per se,
Mm-hmm.
but is multi-branch. So I was out there for my CBRN training for about 6 months. I was there from October to March. So I was there for the coldest part of it.
Right.
Once done with that, I was afforded the opportunity to do the lateral move to the communications field. And then I went down to 29 Palms, California. And let me tell you, climate shock. I
Oh
went
wow.
from, negatives all through the winter and like 60 degrees to 100, hottest I saw it get down there was 129 degrees in the sun, 118 in the shade, and 95 degrees in our barracks room.
You make
So,
me sound like my Saudi Arabia times.
oh man, it was rough. So like I know for a fact I am not a desert dweller. It is not my place. And then once I got done with my transmission systems operator school, I went up to Camp Pendleton, which is 45 minutes north of San Diego, and I was up there for the remainder of my stay.
That's nice weather, though, right?
Oh, it's beautiful. It
Yeah.
was between 75 to 85 every day. And since we were a coastal installation, because we had AAV units and we had like divers and stuff, we we were like here, base, ocean. So
Yeah.
we constantly got that nice ocean breeze rolling through, and there were mountains on pretty much any side. So it funneled that breeze through. Oh, it was beautiful out there.
Yeah, I've been to San Diego, not in the military. I've been there myself, and I think it's beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful places in the United States. Unfortunately, it's going to get ruined because it's California,
Mm.
but I think people are still holding on to that piece of the pie. So that's good. That's cool. And what? So out of all that stuff, I mean, you said you did chemical stuff.
So yeah, I was CBRN, where so CBRN's job in the Marine Corps is so we run all of the gas chambers, be it outdoor or indoor CS chambers. If the qualifications need to happen, we are the ones who run them. But our main focus is if in the field, in country, what have you, there is a chemical, a biological, a radiological, or a nuclear strike or threat, we advise the commander or the CO how to proceed, what precautions to use, what decontamination steps to take. We sit there and we actually like do all the math and we plot the course of the cloud, whatever it is, we plot how it's going to travel based on wind speed, direction, humidity, all kinds of meteorological factors. So there was a lot that went into it, but man, it was probably the coolest job I did
Yeah,
because
I was going to ask you too because some people out there don't know. Not everybody that watch their shows are veterans, although I think most of our Christine and Johnny are loyal watchers. They have some relation to the military. And did you pick that job, or did you just want to go in the Marines and that was like a bonus, or like how did that work out?
so I did actually pick that job. It was one of the jobs that was open to me, but I got screwed because everyone else that I knew in my platoon that picked that job, they got a bonus.
Oh.
I didn't hear anything about no bonus. So if one staff sergeant Jake Alfrey ever decides to see this, screw you, dude.
Well, I guess that's the assumption he didn't know or he knew. I find that sometimes these recruiters and all they don't know any more than you know.
I swear, some of them are the slimiest humans I've ever met. Because, like, when I was in boot camp, I swear, I saw people who had two brain cells fighting for third place, and I was completely beside myself on how they got there. These recruiters must be just sliding people in for numbers, man.
Well, it is numbers, and I never got to the stage to the recruiter in the Army. When you hit 10 years, that's when they just start deciding your career, and that's
Mm,
about the point I got off active duty. There's another story behind it and all that with K9 school and all that. After I went to K9 school, but um, that's what happens. You either become a recruiter or a drill sergeant. It's usually the progressive ladder in your career after
mm-hmm,
10 years. And I knew a lot of recruiters. I knew guys, and that's what it was. That was the pressure was they had to hit quotas because their NCOER, their evaluations, all this stuff, promotion, all that stuff was hinging on it. So it's no different than the civilian equivalent of like a
mm-hmm,
sales guy, so at the end of the day, I understand why they did it. The problem is we need to not have that standard in the
yeah.
military because the mistakes that come from it are way bigger. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like you
absolutely.
witnessed. So they're pushing people in because I remember people like flat foot was something to disqualify you, but they were
Yeah,
passing people through and then they discover all they had flat foot. So at some point, all the mistakes should have come back on the recruiter anyway.
absolutely. Like, man,
So.
I'm flat-footed, and
Mhm.
I still somehow got through. When I was on Paris Island in my original company, Bravo Company, Platoon 1052, I broke my leg on day 13.
Mm.
And when I went to medical to get my leg set, they looked at my feet and they're like, stand on your non-broken leg. I was like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "Yeah, you're flat-footed. How are you here?" I was like, "News to me. MEPS didn't say nothing. My recruiter
Right.
didn't say nothing."
Well, that is one of those weird things, and they may have waived them at some point because that's what the military did. And even right now, it's kind of sad. We've talked about this, and I'll ask your opinion anyway. But we talked about the state of the military right now. What is your view of the military in general? It doesn't have to be the Marine Corps. It could be the Marine Corps. You can talk about both. But your view of the military in general, as it is right now, because I've also been out for a while, so I'm not on the inside anymore. So, what do you see the military now? I mean, I don't even know how long it's been since you've been in, but.
Don't get me wrong, I am a patriotic individual. I love my country and I love the military. But it has gone soft. It is
Mm,
called the wussification of America. Like
mm.
it is to the point where now if you say something to somebody in the wrong tone of voice, they'll take your rank. If you use the wrong pronoun when addressing a soldier or a marine or an airman, you get it, they take your rank, they take your pay, like Article 15, NJP, whatever you are used to. It's just things are becoming so PC, so soft, so like baby shit is the only way I know how to describe it because that's what our drill instructors used to say. They used to call us soft as baby shit. And
Mm.
that's just what it's becoming. And it, and it's people who come through. Honestly, it starts with a lot of these people that these recruiters slide through. Because, perfect example, I won't name names, but one of the kids I went to boot camp with, we had to designate another recruit to tie his boots for him because he
What?
couldn't figure out how to do it.
What?
Like, you would talk to this kid and be like, "Hey, you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5." Yes, sir. Like, there was like actual mental lag
Right.
between when he heard and when he spoke. And so it was just like, I'm looking at this kid. I'm like, "Bud, how, like, no offense to you in any way, shape, or form, but how are you here?" It's
Right.
like, and these people get through and they get into the fleet and they pick up rank and they become somebody with some kind of authority. And that's where shitty commands come from.
Well,
Like,
that would be a self-correcting thing, though, at some point, right? I think, you can't protect your commander for so long because your whole unit will be, torn up. So at some point, it'll get exposed. And I don't want to, I guess we could go into the bigger picture of things, but this is what the problem with all the DEI stuff and all that stuff is. I believe, in my experience, and I've encountered a lot of veterans
mm-hmm,
have to be compassionate. Like they have
have
to
to.
care about people. Otherwise, why would they sacrifice themselves? I don't get me wrong. I know people in the old days, army or prison, whatever. I get it. I understand
Mm-hmm.
that there were options back then. But the people I knew, they cared about the country. They cared about the people in the country. They cared about, they put their life on the line for their fellow soldier. So you can't convince me that they're not compassionate.
No,
But the
like,
problem in society is that we can't mistake, the word I'm looking for. We can't mistake their willingness to go get their hands dirty for a lack of compassion.
oh,
You know,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like you still can have compassion and still do a tough job. Still go in there and stomp and do all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I guess masculinity is what I'm looking for, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, you have to have some level of patriotism or love for the country to even go in there, go to that map station, sign that line. Because I heard it from an Air Force vet when I was working at Lowe's. He described it best. All of us, combat or otherwise, signed a blank check payable up to and including our lives, payable, and it's made payable to Uncle Sam. Like, so I don't care what uniform you wear. I don't care what job you do, pogue, combat, what have you. You sign the line, you have my respect. You actually, went and you made the effort to protect your fellow man. You have my respect.
Yeah, I don't know if you had this in the Marine Corps. We had a saying in the military, in the Army. I mean, you respect the rank, not the person. So I might differ from you a little bit. Maybe it's just my perspective and my experience, because I don't think just because you signed that thing, you knew what you were doing. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think you bought into what you were doing. And I, like other people, I don't think just because you're a veteran, you're a good person. It's just that simple. We've got crappy veterans that are bad
I
people.
agree. I
So
agree. I know a couple of them.
and my experience with the check that I'm talking about is I know for a fact because I was in the military when Clinton decided to make a smaller, smarter military, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody that got out was all the backbone, all the people in the middle, the NCO Corps that could make it in the real world, did enough time to take something with them and took bonuses or whatever they got, early outs. They're the ones that got out. The people
Mm-hmm.
that stayed in were the lifers who didn't want to lose their career, their time, and all the people dependent on the military, and then they
Yes.
got promoted. So what I'm saying is the people they started bringing in after that was the big college money push. And do you remember they said, "Oh yeah, we'll give you college," and the next thing you know, you got people in the military signing that check saying, "Oh, I'm a conscientious objector. I can't go to war." And you're sitting there like,
Yeah.
"What did you think you were signing? Like, what did you think you were signing up for, free college money?" So that's where I think my experience, I no longer give that automatic respect anymore. I just don't. And I understand what you're saying and I appreciate it. It's just how my experience, I don't do that. People have to prove to me that they've earned that respect.
Oh, yeah. And I can appreciate that. I can agree with that because, like, I know a bunch of people who joined literally just for college. That is the only reason that they joined. And it's like, you do realize that, like, at any moment you could be sent off to a foreign country. Somebody's going to stick a rifle in your hand and tell you to go charge the hill, right? Like,
But
you
they'll
are a
find a way out of it.
Marine.
That's what I'm saying. They'll find a way out of it. That's
It's
why I said I don't respect those people
Yeah,
because they're
and
just taking advantage of it.
yeah, they're leeching off the system.
Yes.
And like you said with bad veterans, I do agree with that. They are definitely out there. I knew there was one who was getting out of my unit as I was going in, and this dude literally would beat on his baby mama and would lock his kid in the closet because he
Mm,
didn't want to deal with them. And he went to the brig for it, but it was like, how are you even here? Like, did
right.
you take nothing that boot camp taught you to heart? Like,
Right.
did you learn none of what you were supposed to? I don't
Yeah,
get it.
and if you don't know, I mean, I was military police in the Army, so
Mm-hmm.
I saw all the bad people in the military. I've
Oh
seen them.
yeah.
So for me, it's a whole different perspective. Even though even in my unit there were bad MPs, but the camaraderie was great, and there, overall in general, you know, we at least had a functioning force that can do the job. And sometimes you need those bad people because they'll do things that other people wouldn't do. But I wouldn't just give every veteran blanket credit. I give them credit for joining, but again, I mean, I was even stationed in Hawaii, and there were guys there for 15 years. Their whole career spent in Hawaii
Mm-hmm.
doing nothing but in the rear stuff. And if you wanted that, you should just join the Air Force or something. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know why you joined the Army to get stationed in Hawaii for your whole life. You've done nothing for the military. Now, I don't want to say nothing, that's hyperbolic, because obviously their mission may have been important, but the ones I encountered, no. If you were a military policeman in the upper echelon stationed in Hawaii for 10 years, 8 years, whatever, you just knew somebody, you kissed somebody's ass, and you got a cush job for most of your career. And I
Yeah.
don't respect people like that. I don't.
No, I
I
I
respect the hustle, but I don't respect the people.
I can't stand officers who just sit there and just give kickbacks to their guys and give the absolute boot to the enlisted. That was my battalion commander.
Mm,
And I have heard about 6 different accounts of this man sweeping positive urinalysis tests under the rug for his
wow.
officers, just making them disappear. But one of my guys, he popped because somebody gave him something and he didn't question it. He ate it, didn't realize what it was. And after realizing the mistake, immediately called his chain of command, reported it, said, "Hey, this is what happened." And they still fried him and kicked him out for it.
Wow.
So it's like, I cannot stand
Yeah.
these officers that are just like their little boys club.
And we
Like,
know most of them don't have the experience. Like the best
absolutely
officers I've
not.
ever had were the ones that transferred. They went from enlisted to,
Good old
officer.
Mustangs.
Yeah, those are the best we've ever had, and I can think of a few, but they're far in between the ones I've had. Because on the flip side too, even in my deployments, these guys don't know. They've never struggled. They don't even to this day they don't even have any consequence for their actions. I mean, look at the Afghanistan withdrawal. Nobody got fired.
Nope.
I mean, nobody got fired over that, and that was a freaking mess. And but anyway, we don't have to talk about too much. This is your episode. Before we get going here, there's one thing. We used to do, and I don't even know if I'm going to get it right. So, Mr. James, if you're watching this, apologize. Um, what we like to do is give you king for the day, right? So, if you were king for the day today, like king in the entire, whatever, let's just say America, what was one thing you do today that you think would impact this country? Have the greatest impact on our country and our people, our way of life, as
Mm.
you would see it.
I would take our veteran populace, our homeless veteran population. I would put them through extensive mental and psychological background checks, and once they came back clean and that they are sound and of sane mind, I'd give them a rifle and I'd stick them at the front door of every school across America.
Hmm.
Guard
Nice,
them schools, because
nice.
Lord knows that they probably have kids of their own. If not, it is almost every human adult's instinct to protect a child. Not And they have the training necessary to do so.
Well,
So,
in the month of June, there's a lot of people who don't try to protect children. Not going to point them out. That's your business. Do what you do. But yes, I agree with that. And let me go a step further because I think we talked about this stuff too. I think you should enact a boot camp for veterans after service, a
Oh yeah,
life boot camp, because that's the thing I didn't understand how we got what do they call that? They broke us
brainwashed.
down. Yeah, they broke us down and trained us for what they needed, but they never reversed it. They never took us out of the military and said, "Hey, this is what civilian life is like."
Yeah, they broke it, but they didn't fix it.
Yes, yes. So that's great. That's awesome. I like that. So again, Tanner, great to have you on. It's good to see you're part of the community. We are going to welcome you back for some new episodes. If we haven't gotten you on before this shows, because sometimes the actual episodes jump these because these are kind of filler episodes, but people may see you before they see this. But either way, they'll know a lot about you. But thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And thank you all in there for tuning in, learn about Tanner. Hope you see him again. Hope he's got some opinions on the episode. Maybe we'll see something big in the future. Until then, though, Godspeed and pull the pin. Thanks for joining us here at Pull the Pin Already. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If you like what we do, go ahead and hit that like button and share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. But most importantly, leave a comment below. Let us know if you agree or disagree with our opinions. Hope to see you here next time on Pull the Pin Already.